Hello and welcome to the interview. I'm speaking today with the Honorable Ranil Wickramasinghe, the leader of the opposition and the United National Party. Mr. Wickramasinghe, warm welcome to the program. As we are heading into parliamentary elections come April 8th, you have released your manifesto, you yourself have appeared on stages. What do you feel the UNF or UNP considers to be the most pressing challenges for the elections, but also over 2010 and beyond?
There's a total collapse of society. The economy has collapsed, governance has collapsed, education has collapsed, health has collapsed. So we wanted to focus on these areas, not to have a big manifesto going into different sectors, promising everything. But there is a sense, we feel there is a crisis and we have to react to the crisis. So we just dealt with 5 major issues which we put together, which we put right in the coming 2 years. Of course, in that period, then we can prepare the policies in respect of other sectors. What do you do for sports? How do you promote the arts? But if you are bankrupt, you can't do any of those. And people must live first. We identified it, the 5 areas. The firstly, the economy, the cost of living, the question of incomes, unemployment, the rural sector, the senior citizens, the government servants, and the expansion of industry, and of course unemployment. We've identified education, the breakdown of the school system, and the higher education system is not working. In the health sector, the basics of drugs and equipment are not available. Now we have a manifesto which talks of ensuring that there is a reliable supply of drugs and equipment in the hospitals. This is not something that should go into any manifesto generally. But we have such a big crisis. Then the political issues. There is certainly no democratic governance in this country. How do you put that back? What do you do with the IDPs? And how do you change this system? People want to change. I mean, they are fed up of this system. And finally, we've taken on the issue of women. Women are a majority in this country. The electorate, they are 57%. When I was Prime Minister, we prepared legislation, took measures on the issues concerning the women, political, social and economic. Nothing was implemented by this parliament. And can you allow the majority of the country not to have the same rights that is enjoyed by a minority, the males? So we've taken these 5 as our 2-year program.
Mr. Wickramasinghe, the issues that you pointed out, as you have enumerated them and also articulated them in the manifesto and also on the political stage, need to be juxtaposed with the not crisis of leadership, but significant challenges to leadership both within the UNP and thereafter, and as a result of that, as a consequence of that, the ability for these issues that you enumerate to gain public traction. You're no stranger to these challenges, and one may anchor it also to your position within the party. How do you feel you can overcome these challenges? Again, not necessarily with the election, but beyond as well.
I can't see any challenges within the UNP. And we formed the UNF together with the leaders of other parties. It's a question of how do we, the challenge we have is how do we face these elections, which is not free and fair, and safeguard the elections. Now that's what we've addressed ourselves to. We've gone through the whole counting system. Last time we looked after the booths, we felt that there was foul play within the counting system.
This is the presidential
election. So we are taking we are taking additional precautions. We are training people, especially at the count and at the computer center. Secondly, in this election, it's an election not merely of parties, but that's the first rivalry between parties. Secondly, is within each party there is rivalry between candidates. So there's a tendency of candidates to keep an eye on it, to ensure that no one else gains an unfair advantage within your own party. So that does act as an advantage, but we've taken the precautions. What more has to be done in the counting center? If we have to go out, okay, some people will go out, the others will stay in for a break. And also looking at the whole computer system, we've had to look at the flow chart and the steps. The Commission of Elections has agreed to many of them, and we are taking steps about the others. So this way we hope to preserve the counting process. But we do have challenges, but we are not afraid of that. We feel at the end of the day, the country wants a change, and they will be going along with us.
I think there is general consensus that people see you as a thinker, a person who deals with concepts and ideas. If you take a look at the campaign, the posters around us and all the rest of it, many of these candidates are seen to be holding babies with the elderly, they're with the people. Are you interested in electoral politics, or is it the fact that you are more interested in the architectonics of governance and government?
The UNP is always interested in elections, electoral politics, and to win elections. Otherwise, I won't be in this party and I won't be allowed to lead the party. That's what we are looking at it. We are doing our own way. Yeah. We are addressing the major issues. I may not be seen carrying a baby, but I have said, look, I will remove all duties and taxes on powdered milk, so children can live. Yeah. I may not be seen carrying a baby, but I am giving their parents a pay increase. So then if can afford to, that's okay, that's good. Let him say I'm carrying a baby, and I say, look, you can carry a baby, what do you do with the baby when you can't feed the baby? These are difficult decisions for mothers. The mother turned up at the Homagama court and said, take my child. I mean, just look at the torment she must have gone through. As a mother, she wants to keep the child, children, but she knows that she just can't. If they stay with her, they'll die. So it's a very difficult decision for any mother to go through, and maybe it's only a mother who will take that decision. Yeah. So I don't want that to happen. I think the family is important, and we have to protect that family.
And you're confident, though, that you are communicating that message to the voter?
Yes, I am. We are communicating the message. The advantage we have is the government has not even put out a manifesto. They only talk of Mahinda Chintane, on which they have not delivered. So we are able to talk to them.
You went through a historical period in its own right during 01 to 04 as Prime Minister. When you look back and reflect upon those 3 years and the ceasefire agreement writ large and all that went on during that period, what lessons have you drawn from that time?
You have to move fast on some of the issues, both economic and political. But on the other hand, it's not merely in your hands. In the case of the economy, we had negative growth for the first time, complete breakdown. The government couldn't afford even to purchase paddy, 6-hour power cut. So you had to go along to a certain extent in the international community. But today the economy certainly has not got negative growth. We have serious problems. So we have a better chance of determining the pace. It's the same with the peace process. I mean, I liked it if I had gone faster, but the LTT wanted time. But each of those where we can move fast, you have to move fast.
The Defense Secretary, your Defense Secretary, Austin Fernando, in a very large book, My Belly's White, very interesting read actually, amongst a number of other issues, talks about the significant political differences between the executive of the day and yourself. I mean, it was both personal as well as party political. Talking about political reconciliation into the future, do you think that there is a chance for it in terms of a national government or just in general between this unfortunate consequence of violence as a result of partisan politics? Do you think it will change?
There will be a change, and what I want is to ask the people to give me a mandate to implement this manifesto. Then I call upon all the parties in Parliament to join us in doing so, either in the government or from the opposition benches. I want to turn the whole Parliament into a government. But we also have to ensure the charges are not made that we have all got together to rob. So that we strict ethical code which can be enforced legally. We have to deal with the corruption issues. We have to have transparency. We must have Freedom of Information Act and allow for a time period for people to work together. That has to be done, and I think I am better at getting people together than anyone else. Whatever the difficulties I had with President Kumanatunga, somehow kept the lines open, and I think after she lost power, okay, I know what happened with me under, but I at least go and meet her once a year or so. That's a part of politics I have learned, and I think we can keep everyone together. I speak to President Rajapaksa, despite I keep those lines open. And I think I am about the best who could bring them together and make a change. I want to make a change. I don't want to carry on with this. That's why first we want to do away with the preference system, just as the PR and the constituency system.
perhaps a slightly different take on reconciliation, but also bringing it very much into the present. The issue of looking back at what occurred almost now a year ago in those final stages of war, and this entire discussion, very heated, emotional discussion over setting up a war crimes tribunal or some kind of investigation to look into what occurred. Where do you stand with this? Would you like to see that kind of truth-seeking in the reconciliation that you propose, or do you feel that it's better forgotten and that we need to just move